Hi-ho, welcome. My name is Seirea. Yeah, I decided to change the pronunciation of my name to the correct one based on its Japanese etymology, so call me Seirea now, as you probably already were if you saw my name. Anyway, yeah, this is not Godot. I'm gonna start pronouncing that a different way as well. This is a sprite, and I'm going to try and fill in the only animation of these revamped animations that I haven't done yet, which is the climbing. I thought about removing the climbing mechanic and just having what you've been seeing, which is like the wall jumping and the wall thrusting upward, but I think it feels much nicer being able to move freely up and down on the wall in addition to that stuff, so I'm going to put this in. And so I need to make the animation for that, or else it looks really weird. So I'm just going to show you briefly my process with animating. Now, I'm using the animation that I already did previously as a reference, and I sketch like outlining. And normally when you're doing pixel art, you don't do that. You do it like this, where let's say I find her skin color, and I would like block out the arms, yeah, and like you do color blob sketches. But because the art style of this game is going to have outlines, and I mean it already has outlines, I find it much simpler to begin with the outlines so I don't have to do it after the fact. And actually this is very hard to talk and do at the same time, so maybe I'll just do a time lapse and then we'll catch up later. See you in a minute. Hey you! While this time-lapse is going, let me just chat with you about a few things that I won't be discussing in the regular portions of the video. The progress that I've made in the last week. It hasn't been too much, because I've been trying to focus now on making some promotional videos. I'm trying to make another level where I can show off Rayla's gameplay a bit more intensively, and so I haven't been making assets like this since then, and there's no, like, huge progress to report. But you can hopefully expect some of that promotional stuff soon, and I'm going to try and implement some adoraburs. That should be really fun. And the Australian Open is almost over. I love tennis, but I'll be probably focusing more on this now. Anyway, back to other me. Okay, so I started the rough sketch phase, and it's rough, as the name would suggest. There's a lot of unwanted movement here in the backside area, so I'm going to try and work on that. Yeah, so I probably am doing a lot of this not well in terms of industry practice, because I am self-taught. The nature that would probably lead to many inefficiencies in my work process, so I'm just making do and doing my best and forgetting the rest and just trying to get stuff done. So if there are any game developers out there watching this, and maybe you're tearing your hair out watching all the crap that I'm doing. It's so hard to talk and do this, oh my gosh. But yeah, this isn't even, I haven't even added the face and hair yet. Here, I'll give you another time lapse while I try and smooth out the movement around here. Okay, it's a little bit smoother. There are still tons of problems, but those are things that I fix really gradually over time. I'm gonna see if this improves things a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of a big change. Yeah, but anyway, to answer a few questions you might have, no, I do not always use things that I've done in the past as reference. It's just, I liked how the animation looked before, so, I was just trying to make this one look just like that one. I do use references often, trying to make things look as good as possible. I don't always use them. Sometimes I just go and it comes out okay. Sometimes it doesn't. But that's just me trying to improve. Nothing I'm saying makes sense, but that's to be expected. And okay, so yeah, I guess I'll do this now. I've gone this far. Yeah, I will go ahead and try and add some face and hair. And there's already something here. Her head was in a different position. Maybe I can make it go forward again here. See how this looks. No, her head should stay in the same place the whole time. Okay, anyway, yeah, so I'll move her head into the correct place and then work on the face and hair so you can see how that goes. We'll see. So the face is pretty straightforward. For some reason I tend to not copy and paste it. I just kind of realized that as I was doing it. I was trying to do it manually, which was not smart and kind of masochistic, but I realized in time. So yeah, the face can stay pretty much the same for an animation like this where there's not much head movement, but I did move it slightly so you can see that she's turning her torso. It kind of makes it look more natural. But for the hair, I just kind of go. I sketch in just kind of free form each time, and usually, as long as I keep the motion in mind, it ends up looking like fairly natural, organic hair movement. It looks like it's being affected by the movement itself, and but yeah, I have to be careful that I'm actually paying attention to physics and the situation so that it doesn't look really awkward. I'm not just going with absolutely nothing in mind and just like throwing in random lines. Because it's a much lighter color, her hair is white, the outline is not black. So, as you could see. Anyway, back to not having to listen to me. Yeah, so one of the most important things here that I need to pay attention to is her sideburns, if you can call them that, because those are the most independent locks of hair. I need to make sure that their movement tracks in a way that makes sense, because they will draw the eye naturally. So I'm really paying attention to like her little side hair thingies. Anyway, yeah, that's back to the time lapse. Actually, never mind, because I was almost done with that sketch. Yeah, so it mostly, yeah, there's just this one frame here where, yeah, all this hair kind of like moves way too close to her body from the previous frame. Yeah, so obviously this is another part of the process that involves a lot of whittling and trial and error, especially if you're new to this like me. Yeah, so she needs to have more shape up the top there, or else it's gonna look really weird. Yeah, it's kind of senseless up there at the top. Yeah, partially because I didn't remove the black outline of her head there, but partially because I suck. It's a start. Yeah, it's a thing. Okay, so yeah, obviously this is nowhere even remotely near a finished product. It's got a long way to go, but it's to the point where I can at least throw it in the game, see how it looks, make sure the animation is going to fit its intended purpose. So that said, it's about time to open Godot and take a look at it in game. Never mind, let me put in the horns. That's a little important. You might be wondering why I'm not just copy-pasting the horn as well. The reason is, if you're looking at this animation right now, you'll notice that it looks like the horn is moving very slightly, which makes the movement of her head, which is also very, very minuscule, look a bit more natural. Because I didn't just copy and paste the horn, and I made very slight changes in its aesthetic with each frame. It looks a little bit more like her head is actually moving, and it's not just jagged, rough pixel movements. See, now I normalized it too much. I need to keep... Oops. Oh, gosh. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep it... I'm not going to mess with it too much right now. I've already messed with it way more than I was supposed to, so let's try and take this into Godot, shall we? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to export a sprite sheet. And I think that's the one that will automatically update in the game, and we'll give it a shot. So a magical thing happened. Don't you love it when you spend 20 minutes doing something and it's really educational and people might actually be interested in it, and then you realize, once you stop recording, that none of it was captured. So I guess I'm just going to have to explain everything I did and then melt into a pile of unloved dirt. So, I went into the animation player here and added all the frames from the sprite sheet, which I also had to adjust its atlas detection because there were more sprites, and there was another row that it had to detect. So I just did that, and everything was great. Godot is neat. And then I also realized that I had to add another separate animation where everything was reversed, because I have not had yet success with Godot's automatic feature that plays animations in reverse. So for climbing down, I just picked everything up in reverse, and that's there. All the animations are set in. So I had to go through my code and uncomment all the stuff that had to deal with moving up or down on a wall, because I commented it out to try and make gameplay where, as I mentioned before, you were not allowed to move up or down, so that I could test out only being able to wall jump and thrust jump, and I didn't like it, so now I had to go through and find all that stuff and put it back in and somehow hope that I didn't miss anything, because, as I've mentioned in the past, this code is a disaster when you are trying to find something specific. And then I had to add in a few other extra bits of code because I'm using separate animations now for climbing up and down. So I had to go up to this ridiculous heavy quote fingers here, state machine for the game detecting and applying animations. Look at this. This is a tragedy. And so I had to add a new state called climb down within all the rest of this amalgamation of horror. And I made that a thing, and then I had to go down and add some incredibly redundant sections of code. Like, let's see if I can find this one. I just felt like a complete dunce when I added this in and thought that it was captured on the screen. Anyway, here it is. Okay, so if we're not in the climbing up state, which is when she reaches the top of a ledge and automatically climbs up, I have the exact same little thing here for both these commands, if up or down. Basically the exact same thing, just adjusted for the different animations. And I know there has to be a way to do this in like one line of code, but this right here is a very good representation of this entire script, of how like everything is just so hard-coded and so nasty. It's just, oh, gristle. Oh, it's not good. But the end result, which unfortunately you couldn't see happen organically, you couldn't see it work the first time in the moment, was that now there's an animation for her climbing up and down, and it's not, it is what it is. And so now you have technically seen me animate something new for Project Xadia, and halfway implemented. I mean, I described how I implemented it. So before anything else goes horribly wrong, I'm gonna cut it off here, because now I have a full hour and a half plus worth of video recorded just from this session. So before my computer explodes and the shrapnel goes into my earlobes and turns me even stupider, I'm going to bid you all a wonderful day or night, whatever it is for you. Thank you so much for joining in. It really means a lot to me to see people supporting and showing genuine interest and appreciation for the work that I'm putting in here, because that's why I'm doing it. I want people to have, I want this to bring people enjoyment, and that brings me enjoyment. And so I thank you for enjoying this and for your interest, and hope to see you again soon. Dream on, friends. Peace.